Hey, welcome back, my friends. Welcome to Away with Yin. I'm Andy, and I'm so happy, I'm so excited, and I'm so thankful that you decided to join me for this Yin yoga practice. So, today's practice is a full body practice, and it's suitable for all levels. We'll be exploring the three pillars or the three foundations of every Yin class. So you'll see that I have a set of blocks, a blanket, and a bolster. You're welcome to gather those things or anything you can use like it and join me in a comfortable starting position. You'll see that I'm choosing to lie down on my back, but again, you're welcome to find any shape that feels best for you. So, yin yoga is a very passive, grounding, and still practice, but that doesn't mean that you can't move. Whenever you first come into a shape, the first few moments are yours to fidget, wiggle, and adjust, and you'll feel when you've made space for yourself to settle into stillness. You might like to join me in placing a hand on your heart and a hand on your belly as we first start our practice just by exploring the breath. So once you have your hands in place, join me for a deep breath in through your nose and a nice full breath out, nose or mouth. And you get to explore this breath at your own pace, your own cadence, with your hands on your torso, giving you a little bit more feedback to feel your breath, not just in your body, but in your hands as well. Nothing more to do than simply get comfortable and just breathe. Moving into our first official posture now. If you weren't on your back already, you can join me lying down, taking your hands to your sides and bringing the soles of your feet together while letting your knees fall apart. Hands can come wherever is most comfortable. And if there's any restraint or any restriction in your hips or your legs, pop a set of blocks or a blanket beneath your knees. In exploring the three pillars of yin, the first thing that we need to get familiar with is every time we feel ourselves settling into a new shape, we ask ourselves this question: can I relax into the pose? If the answer is yes, stay as you are. If the answer is no, then that's an indicator that our body is looking for a little bit more support. So, in this reclined butterfly, that little extra support is going to be placing the blocks, the blanket underneath your knees. Remember that you can always take the props away, but it's much harder to add them in when we've already been struggling in that place of extreme discomfort or just the inability to relax. So, always in life, we want our breath to just flow in and out with a sense of ease. So, if ever you're finding that you can't relax, you can't breathe with ease, make a change that is supportive, a change that encourages and helps you to relax. Now that we've been here for a little while, you might be curious in exploring a different placement of your arms, maybe reaching them up overhead. You could clasp the fingers, the wrists, the elbows, or anywhere in between up overhead, just to experience more opening, more sensation in your upper back, your ribs, and your chest. And just like before, ask yourself the question, can I relax into this arm variation? If the answer is yes, stay as you are. If the answer is no, there's nothing wrong with making a change. And since we've been in our butterfly for a little while, it's important that we come out of the pose really slowly. So, bringing our hands back down to our sides and maybe using the hands to encourage the knees back together. Once the knees are together, widen your feet to the edges of the mat and let your knees fall even closer towards each other and the midline. And from this place of rebound, we can gently windshield wiper our knees from side to side, finding a little massage into the low back. Great. So taking your knees back to center, locating a block or a folded blanket, and we're going to bring that prop underneath our pelvis. So moving into a supported bridge pose. And in this supported bridge, it's just really important if you're using a block that it's not into your low back. We really want it in line with our upper glutes and feeling the heaviest part of our pelvis just balanced on the block. We're starting to become familiar or acquainted with this feeling of being mildly upside down, mildly inverted, and feel free to bring your hands wherever they like. If they're comfortable at your sides, or if you are enjoying that sensation of the arms up and overhead. The first official pillar of the yin yoga practice is honoring our edge. So I always like to think of this as Goldilocks and the Three Little Bears. When we come into a posture, we don't want it to feel boring and unsensational, but we also don't want it to feel so sensational that we're in pain or again that we can't relax. We just want to be somewhere in the middle. If there is a little bit of discomfort that you're feeling, that's okay. That's even welcomed as long as it's not painful. If there's ever pain, do not remain. So maybe you're wondering, Andy, what's the difference between discomfort and pain? And pain will likely feel like something sharp, something shooting, something that makes you really wince, or just something that catches your breath. A discomfort might feel uncomfortable, but you can always breathe through it. That's the importance and the guidance of your breath. And a little bit of discomfort, that's the beauty of yin. We learn how to work through it, not avoid it or work around it. Understanding and starting to embody that the only way out is in. Now we're going to start moving into a knee to chest posture. You can do this on the block, or if you'd like to return your hips to the earth, you can do that too. And we're just going to start by hugging our right knee towards our chest. Hands can interlace around the hamstring or the shin. And as you start to ease into the pose, that left knee can stay bent, or maybe with a little bit of time, it starts to lengthen long. And again, we just explore that first pillar of our practice, honoring our edge. Although yin is a very still and passive practice, the dynamic piece is the edge. The edge is always moving, it's always changing. The longer that we're in a posture and the more trust and surrender we can cultivate, the more that edge will start to change. So just know that there's never any race or expectation. There's nothing to prove in yin. It's more just this slow unfolding as we journey deeper, just breath by breath, moment by moment. There's this really beautiful saying that you'll hear myself and other teachers use in their yin classes. And that phrase is, I surrender to gravity. So we're not trying to hold the pose, we're trying to make space for the posture to hold us by trusting and letting go and just surrendering into gravity's embrace. As you find your next exhale breath, you can release that right foot back to the earth, bending into the left knee as well, and just taking a moment of pause in between sides just to notice what there is to notice, any sensation through the hands, the arms, and the legs. And just journeying onto the second side in your own time. Again, there is no rush, but we'll invite our left leg this time towards the chest. And in this knee to chest posture, where you might be feeling sensation is through the front of your right hip. So we're starting to open into the front of the hip flexors. If there's ever any confusion about where to feel sensation, the best tool that we have to illuminate what we're feeling is simply our breath. So you can always enjoy a nice full breath in and just be open to where you feel that breath in your body. Finding that place that feels like your edge and allowing yourself to surrender to gravity once you find it. Beginning our journey of release by bending into the right knee, releasing the left foot back down to the earth, and just being in your place of pause, the rebound to just notice whatever there is to notice. At any point, you can remove your prop from beneath your hips and just let your hips sink back down to the floor. might feel soothing for your low back to once again windshield wiper the knees side to side before we journey into our next posture. So, no need to move just yet. I'm going to introduce our next posture, and we can take this shape two ways. So, finding our swan or our pigeon pose. And first, I'll demonstrate on my back, just bending into your knees and crossing your right ankle just above the left knee. The foot can stay grounded, or you can start to gather the legs towards your chest. A nice option is to place a block or a blanket under your head, just so there's a little bit less work for your arms. And the second way we can take this posture is on our bellies. So if you're choosing to do this option, just know that I like to use a lot of props when I take this on my stomach. I just find the more supported I am, the more comfortable I can be and the less likely for my legs to fall asleep. So I like to bring a blanket towards the center of the mat, and I'm going to bring my right shin at a diagonal, supporting my hips, my pelvis with the blanket. That way the hips stay fairly level. And I like to let my upper body rest on a bolster, just bringing one cheek to the cushion. You can always come to the earth if you'd like, but in this practice of honoring our edge, it's always nice to just start with more because it's easy to take the props away. It's harder to add them if we've been uncomfortable for a while. I promise there is time and space for you to explore both options. Otherwise, you can always pause the video and explore before deciding which option is best for you today. And what we're looking for is sensation through this outer right hip. So you'll feel it kind of in the outer glutes, maybe even into your low back. But once you find your option, come back to that golden question. Can I relax into the pose? If the answer is yes, perfect. If the answer is no, just make a change. You deserve it. At this point, you might be wondering, Andy, what's the second pillar of this practice? And that pillar is resolving to be still. So the more that we fidget and wiggle in a posture once we find our edge, the more that our muscles steal the show. And while, yes, yin does stretch into our muscles, the more important piece is that yin targets the connective tissues that surround our muscles, and they need a still, passive experience to receive benefit. So we really only move in yin if we found that we've gone too far or we find that we're ready to go deeper. But in between those 2 points, we resolve to be still. And the more still that we are, the deeper the experience we get to have. Sitting with just ourselves for a while and getting into those very deep connective tissues. Your connective tissues include the web of fascia that holds your body together, your joints, your tendons, and your ligaments. So, this makes yin a very well rounded practice, not only contributing to flexibility, but arguably more important, your mobility. Now, if you're taking swan on your back, you can release your legs, letting them extend long or keeping the knees bent for your rebound. Those of you who are on your belly, take a little bit more time to lift yourself away from the floor, tucking your back toes under, and you can just extend that right leg long behind you, or you might choose to lift yourself up and back into a very gentle downward facing dog. beginning to shift over to the second side. If you're lying on your back, you can cross your left ankle just above the right knee. And those of you who are practicing on your stomach, we'll take our left shin at a diagonal to the top of the mat, perhaps balancing your hips on a folded blanket and deciding if you'd like to use a bolster or a set of blocks beneath your chest if the earth feels a little far away. Knowing now that our second pillar is to resolve to be still, you can really understand the importance of honoring your edge. Because the more still you can become, the deeper the experience. Feeling the bones starting to settle and feeling all of the tissues surrounding those bones starting to melt and release, almost the sensation like you're moving through honey. So, yes, we are very still, but there's all of this movement happening beneath the surface. And although we can't see it, we can feel it, and that makes it all the more real. And that carries us very nicely into our third and final pillar of practice, which is to just hold the pose. So, holding the pose, this is where the magic, the beauty, the transformation takes place, where we put into practice being with just ourselves for a while with no distractions, learning to be present with every breath and all of those shifting sensations. This is the place where we put into practice not running away from what's uncomfortable, but learning how to face it. And by facing or acknowledging the discomfort, we work through it and we find ourselves on the other side. Enjoy your last round of breath in and out of your swan pose, and then begin that soft, slow journey out of the posture, the same way that you did on the first side, taking lots of time and lots of care. And now coming into our next posture, we're going to find our dragonfly forward fold. So you can just roll onto one side, make your way to a comfortable seat. And if you know that you kind of struggle with forward folds, sit your hips up on the edge of a blanket, or you could even sit up on your bolster and take your legs, your feet apart. It's totally okay for there to be a bend in your knees, and then start to just hinge forward at your hips. Once there's no more space for you to fold at your hips, actually allow your spine to round, maybe even tucking the chin towards the chest. What I like to do in my forward folds is support my forehead. You'll see that I just made a tower with my blocks to place my forehead on, but you could always use the bolster to elevate the blocks even higher. And if you're someone who just likes to let your head hang out in space, that's okay too. Just remember that first most important question: can I relax into the pose? The answer is yes, stay as you are. If the answer is no, what can you do to support yourself a little more? In this dragonfly, let your legs be relaxed, but can you point your toes more so towards the ceiling? And you might even let your palms flip face up towards the ceiling as well, just to encourage more sense of surrender versus tempting yourself to hold on to something to force your way deeper. Now, once you have found your edge, your Goldilocks place to settle, just breathe a deep breath and notice, where in your body do you feel that breath? Where do you feel sensation? And know that that's your dragonfly. And set the intention to move really slowly as you come out of this posture. Flip the palms back face down towards the earth. Just use the support of your arms to start to walk your spine gently back upright. When you've made it to the top, you might use your hands to help bend into the knees, finding a comfortable seat of your choosing. And just take a breath when you arrive. Just feeling into the body, feeling into the release. And if it would feel good, you might really gently just take your gaze over one shoulder and then its opposite. Fluttering your eyes open if they were closed, and we'll start to journey into our final resting pose, our Shavasana. If your body is asking for any movement, that's yours to find first. Maybe windshield wipering the knees, maybe lying on your back and just hugging the knees to the heart. No right or wrong, just letting your body be your guide. And when you're satisfied from there, you get to navigate into the most comfortable shape of your choice. That could be lying on your side, that could be remaining seated, maybe lying on your back. You'll see that I'm going to bring a blanket under my head and also my bolster underneath my knees, which can be very soothing for the low back. Once you have fidget and wiggled, once you feel comfortable, just let yourself take one last deep round of breath, inhaling through your nose and exhaling out nose or mouth. We invite that exhale breath to symbolize the end of our practice, arriving into this Shavasana pose, this final place to process and integrate all of our hard work, every sensation, every breath, every emotion, every word spoken or word felt. A slow and gentle awakening now as you just deepen your breath. And from that deepening of your breath, you might wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Inviting those movements to become bigger, circling wrists, circling ankles, sweeping the nose from side to side. And at some point, finding a full body stretch as you inhale the fingers overhead, point the toes away, and with an exhale breath, just letting it all go. You can roll onto one side of your body, perhaps using your bicep as a pillow, before finding the courage to make your way into a comfortable seat. And from this comfortable seat, let's inhale those arms up overhead, and with your exhale, just gentle twist over to the left. With an exhale breath, rotating back to center, where we'll inhale the arms back up and exhale, twist over to the right. The exhale breath takes you back to center, where we'll end with one final breath, inhaling the arms up and overhead. Exhale, maybe hands to heart. And thank you, my friends. And this is where I thank you for your time, your energy, and your trust. Thanks for practicing with me. If you enjoyed this practice, you might consider leaving me a comment, letting me know why, maybe liking this video, or considering subscribing. But regardless of all of that stuff, I truly am so thankful that you decided to give this video a chance. From my heart to yours, sincerely, may you be happy, may you be peaceful, and may you always take care.